This conference will now be recorded.
Pledge and invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear kind Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight. Thank you for the many blessed things that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for the rain, much needed rain that we need to get out of our drought. Oh Lord, we pray that everyone can get along. Be with everybody and touch them. Let's pray for peace throughout the world and our country. Now, as we go into our mayor and council meeting, please guide us in a godly manner that we benefit both the town residents and the town. We ask all this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Just like all the council's presidents who review and approval for meeting minutes, draft minutes for regular meeting May the 12th, special meeting on May the 20th. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And did anybody have any corrections or additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept May the 12th and special meeting on May the 20th?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, and a second. Did you get that? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Treasurer's report.
Yes, sir. So we will not have the treasurer's report tonight. We had a little bit of pre-conversation. Our new town clerk is here. He's going to be next up. And we're going to give him the rest of the few weeks here to get things organized and familiarized. And then we'll have it for our workshop at 10 o'clock.
Sounds good. Speaking of our new town clerk, Jesse, would you come up front, please?
Yes, sir.
To the flag. Your family's welcome to come along if you would like.
You wanna come up, Ross? She might cry.
Wow, she's smart.
And for the next, I need your signature on two of them. One on yours, the other one goes to Kim. So, oath of office. Repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I say my name, you say yours. I, Howard Long,
I, Jesse Powers,
do solemnly swear that I will equally,
do solemnly swear that I will equally,
fairly, and impartiality,
fairly, and partiality,
to the best of my ability and skills,
to the best of my ability and skills,
execute the trust reposed in me,
execute the trust reposed in me,
and will faithfully and impartiality
and will faithfully and partiality
discharge all other duties to the best of my abilities
discharge all other duties to the best of my abilities
and understanding as the town clerk,
and understanding as the town clerk,
according to the charter of the town of Boonesborough, Maryland.
according to the charter of the town of Boonesborough, Maryland.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That's
What are you
good.
doing? How are you?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Steve.
I need your signature.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, you're fine.
You made us sign in blood.
Yeah, that's what we were joking about, that I have to cut my hand and sign blood.
One of yours, the other.
Trump's got the better signature. I'll take it. Very good. Thanks, sir.
You go back to your signature.
Sure.
Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you. Pleasure to
Ladies
be
and
here.
gentlemen, Jesse Powers.
Jesse, can you introduce your family to us?
Sure, it's my wife Heather and my daughter Rosalind.
Rosalind.
Rosie for short.
Rosie?
Rosie.
Your dad's big cheese now.
I don't know about all
Hi,
that.
Rosie.
Little cheese.
You see, one of those.
You want that picture of Mayor Howard, that's the first time.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna give him an autograph.
Made him a cheese.
They set it up as a trading card.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have a card.
Public comments, I see we have somebody signed up. Would you please come up? And introduce yourself and give us your address, please.
Good evening, I'm Lee Doherty, this is my wife Joanne. We live at 21 South Main Street. We're here to respectfully request that the town enforce its zoning ordinance and require the removal of the commercial grease exhaust system installed at 23 South. The system was installed by an unlicensed contractor just 2 feet from our property line, by cutting through a load-bearing brick wall in 2 places, without permits or inspections, and without obtaining a zoning certificate from the town. In February 2025, Washington County approved a mechanical permit 9 months after the installation was already in place. The permit was issued to, quote, replace an existing exhaust fan, but there was no existing exhaust fan. This was a new installation that altered the structural exterior wall, which required town zoning approval first. Town planner Drew Bowen confirmed in a June 2024 email to me and a July 2024 letter to the business owner that zoning approval was required and that the current location was unacceptable. Town manager Rachel Souders stated in a May 2025 email that the proper process is for the property owner to obtain a zoning certificate before applying for county permits. The business owner never did this. We hired a licensed professional engineer to assess the installation. His report concluded that the penetrated wall is load-bearing. The alteration qualifies as an IEBC Level 2 modification requiring structural design and a building permit, which would have triggered zoning. We've also had to correct misinformation. At last month's meeting, the town planner said he called Potomac Edison to stop service to a floodlight and remove the power line above the exhaust, potentially allowing the business to run the ductwork onto the roof. The PE employee I spoke to said he was told this would make both the business owner and the neighbor, us, quote, happy. This is false, and we corrected the record directly with the utility.
So the exhaust fan in question hasn't been running due to the multiple code violations, but it is fully functional. We don't want it to operate because once it does, the damage will be done. The odor, the noise, the negative impact on our indoor and outdoor living spaces are guaranteed. As for the town zoning ordinance, zoning approval may be denied if the use interferes with a neighbor's enjoyment of the property, harms property values, or endangers public health or welfare. This installation meets all of those criteria. We've delivered 2 letters to the town planner, the first on March 20th, the second on April 4th, requesting zoning enforcement and written response. We asked to meet in person on April 14th to discuss. We're still awaiting final responses to those inquiries. At this point, we feel like we're kind of being ignored and treated like we're the problem or the nuisance. So we're here tonight to ask 2 questions. One is, will the town enforce its zoning ordinance and require removal of the unapproved exhaust system? And second, why was our position misrepresented to the power company?
Last question, I can't answer it because I don't know who they got their information from. Where Drew told them that, or who told them?
Drew forwarded me the email where he told them that we weren't aware we were still paying for it, we shouldn't be paying for it, so stop it. I don't know why Potomac Edison told you that we did it to appease the neighbor. your neighbor, her. We stopped it because it is something we should not have been paying for because we no longer use that property. Now, if Potomac Edison inferred that we were doing that to make things easier for the mini mart,
Right,
They were very specific in their
Yeah.
comments.
right. So,
That
like,
was,
they
wasn't
would-
an inference, they specifically referenced this issue.
I-
It's not an
I
inference.
can't answer to anything they might have said verbally. All I'm going off of is what Drew forwarded to me, which was his written instructions to disconnect it.
Even when we had a lease to the parking lot, we were not aware that we were paying that electric bill for that. Like, and then when we stopped leasing, and we found out we were still paying it. you know, we said, "No, it's
We had no issues with that.
Right.
What we have an issue with is if this exhaust was installed, that service drop has been there, we've lived there almost 30 years, that light has been there, that service drop has been there, and this business owner followed proper processes, it never would have been approved. Never.
Right, the
The
installation.
installation of that exhaust.
What was upsetting to us was the fact that during when we watched the meeting, it sounded as though it was, we're gonna have that service drop removed, that'll be one less roadblock for the business owner then to get, move along with the installation as it is, so. That was a little disconcerting to us, or concerning to us, given the fact that it's known that
And
this
it's,
is a problem.
and it's a,
And it almost seemed like it was to help the business owner along the way.
Let me ask this question, if it would be moved to the roof, would that be a problem with you all?
If the whole system is moved to the roof,
It would be?
it wouldn't be a
have you
problem.
been up to see?
No, I know where the exhaust is, but I don't know about up on the roof, where that would be better than mine.
Well, it doesn't do anything for the noise, it doesn't do anything for the visual, it is literally 2 feet looming over our,
As she stated, it's still in violation.
Yeah.
It would make it so they can't enjoy space.
Yeah.
our property value. I've already talked to a real estate professional who said he thinks he would have difficulty actually selling our home. Definitely may not get market value.
Mr. Doctor, if I may say, as a fellow resident, I feel for you. Okay? You did an excellent recap. One question that I had, there was some conversation that you already think of the meeting in Washington County about the fire marshal was going to look into it. Can you say anything about that?
So yes, what happened with the fire marshal? So let me back up. December 20th, Rachel, you emailed me because we appeared before you in October. 2 months passed and we hadn't heard anything. So I reached out to you. You checked with the county. And in your email to me said that the county was requiring business owners to get quote a proper permit to relocate the exhaust. That was the last correspondence I had, any official. That was in December 20th. 2 months passed, no activity, no word from anyone. The last week of February, 2 men showed up, installed scaffolding, and I thought, oh, they're gonna start taking it. I left to run some errands, I came back, and that's when they installed that ludicrous diverter that I sent pictures of. And then the county was gonna sign off on it. So that's when the emails between myself and Greg Cartret took place, questioning how they could sign off on this. He said if we didn't like his decision, we had to pay $250 and appeal it, which is how we ended up with the appeal. Well, I had to submit a letter in person to Greg that week. I had 2 days, we had 2 days to get a letter handed to him. So we hand the letter to him, and as I'm coming home and walking through my yard, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking there's gotta be, this isn't right. So I started checking into the fire codes. I had already found the mechanical codes of the fire. So then I started exploring the fire code, and I found specific to grease exhaust systems cannot be within proximity of a power line and it violates the proximity to our property. So I emailed county, town officials. This was a Wednesday afternoon. The code that it violates. So the rest of the day Wednesday, all day Thursday, I didn't get any response from anyone. So Friday morning, this would have been like the first Friday of March, I think. So it was like that week. Last week of February into March. That Friday morning, I called the fire marshal's office. About 8:30 in the morning, I spoke to Joe Goodrich. I explained who I am, where I live, and as I start to explain what we're dealing with, he stops me mid-sentence. He says, "Oh, no, you're fine. We were already down there yesterday." I said, "Well, what do you mean we're fine?" He said, "Yeah, you're good. I looked at it. The county called me. We came down, did a visual inspection. They put that diverter on there. You're going to be fine. You're not going to get any fumes." I said, "Well, with respect, sir, this is a code violation, and it is not okay." And he's still trying to convince me that it's okay.
So this was after the meeting we had with the county.
No, this was before the meeting. This was before the meeting, because once I found the fire code, and I didn't hear anything from the county or the town, I emailed the code. I called the fire marshal's office the next day. And he said that he was down here yesterday, everything's fine. And I said, we went back and forth. He's trying to convince me that this is going to be okay. And he said that he had bigger things to worry about than a small diner in Greensboro. And I saw red.
That's unacceptable.
And I said, that is not acceptable. I said, I live in Greensboro. I'm a resident of Greensboro, Washington County. There have been 3 devastating fires within a block of my home. And I do not appreciate a state fire marshal responding to my complaint and concern. He's already calmed down. What's the code? So I give him the code. He's like, all right, hold on. He looks up the code. And he says, I think you have a point. He said, look, I'm going to come back down and take some measurements and see what's going on. He said, this was just dumped in my lap yesterday by the county. When I had sent the code out, the county must have called him. Hey, get down there. He said, this was dumped in my lap. I didn't know anything about this until yesterday. So we're going to come down and take some measurements. Comes back down, this was Friday, comes down that afternoon, took some measurements. I didn't meet with him, but he called me at 2:30. He said, I will not sign off on this. Violates the fire code, and I will not sign off. He said, again, it's like, look, we just learned about this. I was going by what the county was telling me, and we're trying to push it through.
That was Joe Goodrich.
Joe Goodrich, Fire Marshal Joe Goodrich. So I did thank him then.
And he suggested that we still go to the appeals hearing, even though
Yes,
Mr. Cartwright had said we didn't do anymore. But
yes.
he suggested that we go and ask that they vote.
He said as long as that mechanical permit remains open, that may allow them to modify that exhaust. He said, this is Joe Goodrich, he said, you need to ask Greg if they're going to revoke the mechanical permit. So I did. I called Greg after I hung up with Joe in the afternoon. I called Greg, told him that I just talked to Joe, the fire marshal. And he said, yep, their code is more stringent than ours, so that's the code we have to follow. I'm going to take you off the agenda and the appeal hearing. I said, well, before you take me off the appeal hearing, are you going to revoke the mechanical permit? No, I think we're going to keep that open and let her make some modifications to the exhaust. I said, well, Joe, Greg, in the fire code, there are no modifications. I mean, it's very strict, unlike the mechanical code, there is. Fire code, there are no modifications to it. Well, we're gonna keep it open, let her talk to someone and take a public plan, you know, and that's, I said, well, then, I tell you what, you keep my $250 and you keep us on the agenda for that appeal hearing. So we ended up then going to the appeal hearing, and, presented our case to the board. They deferred to the fire marshal's code as well.
And the zoning, and the zoning ordinance of the town.
Yeah, they did not, they did, we also had mentioned that there was no zoning certificate for this exhaust. And they said we can't rule. That's the town issue. So they basically, we left there, it was the same, it's the fire marshal is now responsible for it, but the fire marshal has nothing to do with whether or not that exhaust stays. It just can't run. As long as it violates the fire code, it can't run. But the town, in our opinion, has authority as it relates to zoning. And the authority to remove it.
Step one was never.
Step one was to go to the town.
To get a zoning certificate.
That was never,
That permit should have never been issued.
that mechanical permit should never have even made it to the county. When Drew came to Drew was the very first person I contacted. He visited our home within a day or two, and he inspected it, and he said, this is unacceptable. I have an email. And it's clearly, it's a load-bearing structural alteration to that wall. And I'm not a construction professional, but it's Drew, should know that, I'm sorry. But then it got forwarded to the county, and then what happened from there,
So the fire marshal never did sign on.
well, I have the report, I have the fire
Yeah,
marshal report. It's not.
However,
So
from what we understand, Mr. Carteret and the fire marshal are working together to come to a compromise.
And the compromise apparently is leaving this system in place, removing the service drop that is a fire code violation. So that this business owner can run the exhaust up on, because see, the service drop, the power line is right above, literally above the exhaust.
And it's still not going to be approved then because of the noise. We assume that there's still going to be a lot of noise, even if
Well,
it's up
The
over.
noise is not going to go anywhere.
So it's still going to be approved.
Howard, where did they have the exhaust when the Legion was there?
It's my understanding.
But what you told me.
The kitchen's
They-
back part.
This kitchen back in the back.
What I have told
You know where the
you
walkway
is that
is?
Yeah.
our
That's where
understanding
it's
is that
So
we are under the county.
Yes, so
So
where they have,
despite the fact that the zoning was stated, we
They
can't
got
make her remove it.
Yeah, I
because the
saw
county
that.
has
They
already
put that in.
Legion never had it.
That is what I was checking with our attorney to make sure, because if we can make her remove it, we certainly will. But it's a complicated relationship that municipalities have with the county. I don't want to say that but like they overrule us. So I don't think that we have the authority to do that. And I didn't realize till you guys came here that our attorney hasn't given me an answer, and I don't think it should be that hard. So I will definitely follow up with her first thing in the morning. But that is why we haven't, I don't think that we can.
Our point though was it should never be.
No, I,
Right.
That's
Oh, I-
the
I agree.
certificate was never obtained,
And-
so that mechanical permit should have never been.
well, that's always been your way of doing things, my understanding.
so the way that we're thinking of it is that, yes, they bypassed us, they did it all wrong. But now that the county is involved, we kind of don't have a lot of say anymore, is what I'm, like, how I interpret it. But if it's still going to make that level of noise, then it's still going to violate other things. You know, even if she had done the zoning permit, it's still gonna be a violation.
Yeah, our outdoor space would be pretty much unusable.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
I remember
and then
thinking
just where it is, it's at the property value.
We just hosted a graduation party for our son in our outdoor space, and the day before that party, the intake fan was running.
Right.
So then, I'm
So I
thinking,
documented
we're
that.
gonna have all these people at our house tomorrow, and that thing is actually running, even though it's not Yeah, it was the Saturday before Memorial Day. Around like 11:30ish.
We were walking our dogs, came back in the yard, and like, that thing's running. And as we walked through the yard, the round intake was running
You said 11 a.m.
around, I actually.
Yeah. It was about that.
So you have not had any other conversation with the county since your hearing that you had there? They haven't been,
No. Not.
We have every, Gary, you probably already know this, the county commissioners each month will meet with a different municipality. They used to come to the municipality to do that. Well, tomorrow night is our meeting with them. Due to recent events they've experienced, now all the meetings are in Hagerstown and they no longer allow citizen participation. But I can, if you send me what you just read, you've already sent me that, I can take that and I can read things on behalf of the citizens, so I can read it to the county tomorrow night. I mean, I doubt that anybody from the department would be there, but commissioners, back on their radar, that it's still not addressed. And it's back.
And we are
We
going back
get
to
them.
the appeal board, Washington County Appeal Board, in July. Because they actually sent a letter after we came and inviting us back.
The appeals board that we went to.
Yeah.
After that hearing, like a week later, Frank Quillen, the chairman of that, sent us a letter stating that while essentially they had to allow fire marshal Quillen.
the process had to play out. I get it.
Yeah, but he said in this letter, it represents an opportunity for us to reappear and maintain.
Okay.
So we have our engineer's report now that supports revocation of the mechanical permit, which should have been at least a building permit.
And with that, and with us tomorrow night, maybe we can open some eyes, and get some answers.
I mean, this has been quite a saga.
Oh,
Very
With our town attorney for our next steps.
I am.
Let me,
That's what I was saying, she hasn't answered the matter.
It's their July.
July 16th, I believe, it's the third Wednesday.
July 16th.
I believe so.
So not to interrupt you, in the planning commission meeting, break down for Drew mentioned the June 18 code.
Yes, so we had initially requested to appear at the June 18th hearing, but Greg Hartret emailed me last week and said there will not be a June. So that's why it's now moved to July. So that's where that June.
So you're saying it's third Wednesday?
Third Wednesday in July,
What time?
3 p.m.
Now, finally, excuse my ignorance, so the fire marshal said he wouldn't sign off the camp units, but the fan was still running. Does
The
it say
intake.
it can't be used, meaning
Yeah,
can't run the fan, can't do anything?
that's good. That's our understanding. But when we came back on the dog walk, the exhaust, the huge exhaust was not running, but for some reason, the circular intake was running. And that's loud, but if they both were running, it's just.
So it seems to be in violation of fire marshal.
Well, that's what we thought. So we documented it.
I just forwarded you an email from the county that has people, since they don't allow citizen participation, we can bring things on behalf of the citizens, or you can contact them directly. I will bring it up and talk about it, if you want to send what you've already typed up, I mean,
Okay.
you're welcome to send it to
I'll-
them, and then they'll
More
have it.
information than that.
I mean, if you would send it tonight, then they might have time to have somebody from the department that would be there. Because they asked us what we're gonna talk about a week in advance, so they know which director should be there, so it might be too late, but
No, they want to lie.
either way, we'll bring it up with them.
So we're going blind time. Send your comments, what you just told us tonight, to the email that you just sent you. And between what you send them and what we tell them, get something together.
Yeah, we're just concerned that something maybe is going on, but we don't know what. And it's just like we're
If
just
it is, we
waiting
don't
for
know.
somebody to show up and start
Yeah, like
doing
it's-
something, and who knows what that might be.
They were, that exhaust would have been running last week, February. County was going to sign off on it. And had we not found the fire code, the fire marshal wouldn't have even
Yeah.
He wouldn't be,
He actually commented to you, well, there's an alleyway between your property and that, no, that's the other side, where, so clearly he had not even come out to take a look. He was just going by what he had been.
Got on Google, that's for that.
Yeah.
Good work,
Well,
guaranteed.
appreciate you listening
Yeah.
and extending our time.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
More than three minutes.
Oh, the attorney first thing.
Apologize for the inconvenience, but you guys you're doing the right thing. You're
We're
safe.
trying to remain patient and let's.
Trust the
everything
process.
work out.
We don't know, we've never had
No.
we've never had this happen, so because the county kind of enforces all the
Yeah,
things,
right.
so we're kind of, we don't know.
I learned a lot, we
Yeah.
learned a lot this past year.
Yeah.
Because we knew nothing last May about how unused works.
Yeah.
And we have been really diligent about trying to educate on the codes, because it would have been pushed through.
Start your own business when this is all over.
Be an inspector.
She has a
Oh,
way
yeah,
of jumping
shame you're in
and
situation.
doing stuff before she gets anything. Permits and stuff. I told her, I said, you can't do this.
And for a neighbor to do this to another neighbor without even conversation, that's just unbelievable to us.
I mean, I said, you have to have a building permit. She was talking about putting a dance floor in there.
Well, it was very frustrating at the appeal hearing because, we presented the facts.
Right.
And then she was allowed to speak and it was all nothing that was related and
Eric and I attended, it was.
lies, basically.
It was a mess.
Yeah, it was painful to listen to.
Hang in there.
We appreciate it.
Hopefully something will come around tomorrow night.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Anybody else sign up?
Thank you.
Okay. Public Works Superintendent, what do you got, Greg?
All right, so you guys don't already know, we're gonna be shutting down the reservoir tomorrow to start hooking the old line up to the new line. So this is gonna cause a bunch of problems. It did last time me and Pete shut the reservoir down. We can't keep pressure up the outskirts of town like the Kinsey Heights and Fletcher area. So if you guys get any complaints, just tell them to hang in there. We're gonna do as fast as they can. I'll have guys stationed out through town here. If you see them just sitting in their truck, they're not just sitting there. They're watching the pressure gauge on the fire hydrant. The pressure gets too high, they'll have to open the fire hydrant up. That's the pressure off here in town because there's nowhere for the water to go. I know it sounds funny that there's no pressure out here in a bunch here, but that's the way it goes. You just can't push out that far. I wish it could. It usually relieves itself up in the reservoir.
Well, there's been pretty good advertisement. The phone chain went through. I got a message on that. It's been on WJJ radio. They've been broadcasting it. That could be some water pressure problems in some part of the town between 8 and 5.
8 and 5 will put on those.
Yeah.
I just-
The word's out.
It'll be just gonna take multiple times. You're not gonna do it one day.
Oh, I know.
There's 5 major hookups that they gotta shut the reservoir off. The houses, they can do one at a time.
Yeah.
Without shutting the reservoir off. But the big connections like Mount Laurel Road, Orchard, Valley View, they all have to be required the reservoir to be shut down.
So why is the pressure going high?
It goes high here in town because everything's coming out of the water plant, 2 high service pumps. They pump into this town first, Orchard, Macon, and then it disperses out through town.
Since we were built first, the old part.
Not gonna blow up my neighborhood, are you?
No, you'll be fine, because you carry 130 pounds of pressure out in your neighborhood, so you don't have nothing to worry about.
Always me out of the shower every morning.
Move on to the Preserve and Fox Gap, you guys are always wondering, it's still sitting the same idle, it hasn't changed. MDE came down, did a site visit, cited them for a bunch of stuff, a bunch of their stormwater's running down into our finished stormwater into the creeks, turning them brown. So they did come down, we did a walkthrough with them, and they sent certified a letter out to them, an email to me, Rachel Howard, and the Preserve and Fox Gap Associates.
But nothing's been done since.
Nothing's been done out there yet. We got stormwater pipes out there that they installed that they never finished, that are lifting up, and all that dirty rocks, dirt's going down into our finished ponds that are out there that we took over.
Did you say they're getting fined?
Well, they will start finding it. He was very clear about it.
Yes,
It
he
still
was. Yeah, he's very.
So my question, though, if you say that it's contaminating what we have to maintain, do we have any recourse or what happens there, or we just have to clean ours and it?
They will have to clean up all
They
this.
will, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that got into the finished water pond that they took over in phase one, they will have to clean.
Okay.
That would be all, that will be nothing to do with us.
Okay.
Moving on to the park grounds, we're up to about $4,000 in bills for just the damage that was done down there. Dirt, topsoil, grass seed, ball field mix, and 2 guys' labor. It came up to almost $4 grand. What it came up to we still got to finish the ball field, waiting on the dirt to get here. And then all that.
Is that average?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good year. Last year was actually worse than this year.
Yeah.
I know,
Well, they stayed an extra day and gave it a chance to dry out with all the wind.
yes. Everything else is going good. Suicide's fine. The sensor we put out here at Fletcher's Grove, it's not moving at all. We'll let it there in the month of June. We're gonna put it somewhere else. Like we were talking about, probably up here. The place keeps backing up behind Orchard
I
Lake.
know you say the month of June, but should you give it a little more time if I'm just getting open and,
They're fully open.
well, okay, I just didn't, I know they're open, but
Only time it
In the
moved was
drawer.
back in April when we had them high winds and all that rain that blew some roofs off in Hagerstown. It jumped up a little over 2 inches, which is normal in most of the parts of the town, came right back down a half hour later. So you can see every time their pump kicks on and off on the
Okay.
gauge, on the graph.
we'll go with them. I just want to make sure we give it, enough of
I'm
let
gonna
them use the facility and be at full capacity.
I'm gonna send that information to WRA, the ones that said that we should upgrade that line, they cost us 300 grand. I'm gonna send them what I have and be like, if you explain to me now, why do we have to spend 300 grand?
Good work.
So how much
Anything
money
else?
did you find down there?
Money?
Yeah.
I don't find any money. Everything's credit cards now.
Oh, shoot.
So you got credit card.
How many credit, how many credit cards?
Do they have any other questions for Greg? Thank you, sir.
You're
Good
welcome.
job, buddy.
Hey, one more thing, we did have a turbo blow up in one of the dump trucks, like me and Rachel talked about, we've had it fixed since, it's like $5,900. Just trying to give you guys a heads up. Yeah.
That was why I asked in the special meeting, asked you guys to approve going ahead and ordering the other dump truck, because we didn't have anything.
Now they're picking it back up again tomorrow morning, I haven't told you yet.
The new one doesn't have turbo, right?
Yes. No, the new one's gas.
That's
Yeah.
gas.
The one that they just fixed for $5,900, check-in's like 1 this morning, so they're coming back down tomorrow morning to pick it back up, take it back up. It's never ending. I'm sorry. I
It's
didn't
only
say
been
that.
like, what, a week?
Yeah, but anytime the light comes on, I told the guys just to park it so they can look at it and see what it is. Most of the stuff we can fix, but when it comes to that computerized stuff, we don't have the equipment to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Water and sewer, Pete's not here.
I told Pete to stay home and sleep,
Yeah.
because the entire system shut down Saturday morning. So he, Jesse, and Jim have been rotating shifts all weekend long.
Did Jesse leave for North
He
Carolina?
doesn't have to,
Okay.
Jeremy, the electrician, found the part at Aqua Aerobics, and they're overnighting it, so it'll be here tomorrow.
Good, good.
It is gonna be $15,000. It's a lot of, it's not just one part, it's a lot of
Yeah.
parts.
Gotta be done.
Town manager, for Rachel.
I am complaining on behalf of a resident who lives very close, I think next to Brandon, in Vanish. She called in last week because of the noise on the weekend. She said that in the past, when they had concerts and bands, it was only loud until about 11 or 12 at night, but the last couple weeks, she said the band played until 1 or 2 in the morning. And she said that it is so loud that when they are sitting in their living room trying to watch TV, like all they can hear is the thumping. She said it's just absurd how loud it is. And she of course wanted to know if we have a noise ordinance, which we don't. But I asked her to come and speak about it, but she wasn't able to come, so I'm complaining on her behalf about the noise situation. I don't know.
Would that fall under the nuisance?
Well, we use the county.
We use it as a county.
Yeah, that's part of that.
Yeah.
So wherever the county requires, which I thought that ended at midnight or 12:30.
Bars have always been granted till 1:30 to 21.
Right.
Okay.
That's also final call, or last call, and then they close at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the county's probably following Maryland code.
Yes.
That's
Same
Maryland.
thing. Yeah.
So,
So you said that the county says the bars, or they can play music until 1:30.
Yeah.
So under that, there's not really
There's
anything
nothing
that
we
we
can
can
do.
do.
I mean, if it's extreme, I mean, maybe, but I mean.
Okay, but I do have a question though, because what distinguishes between a bar and a restaurant? Because I didn't think that's a bar category out there. I thought it was a restaurant.
No,
They have a
Vanish
bar.
There
Bowl
is.
They have a
is
bar.
Spanish is the bar, okay, so that
Yeah.
got licensed as a bar, okay.
Then the second,
I know.
Because I thought that was a distillery, which is also a different
no,
category
it's
than a
Vanish
bar.
Hall where they have bands.
It's-
That's
That's
part of
It's
the
an
bar.
entertainment thing, just like the old Tortuga.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the second part of her complaint, was that their dumpsters are overflowing and, there's trash and litter around the property. So I went out and looked at it, Drew's been out, so I went out and took pictures. And, since the notice would go to Mr. Petrio, I just went ahead and contacted him and he was gonna come up with a tenant. That was last week, and then he called me today for something else and just reiterated that he was telling the tenant about it.
Are we gonna try to set up a meeting with them? So,
Well, I don't think that we really need to. They
Okay.
can play it till 1:30. We don't have anybody on that late though, right?
No.
So we don't have.
Who may start? I mean, you can, I mean, I can, there is a lot of ability, I mean, they, either one of them switch their time. Each, so,
I could also just try to come out and see if I can hear it, and see how bad it is. Doesn't have to be one of you guys, but just to see if it's till 2 in the morning. But that's pretty much.
I mean, they're not having it, because I mean, I know, like, I think it's July 5th, we're having, like, it's a big fight.
It was the night
It's a
that they
national-
had, the night she was, like, that was the final straw, was when they had a DJ dance party,
Okay,
which I think they had another one this past week.
yeah, I think, yeah, that's,
And they don't start until 10 or 11.
Okay.
So
Must have been an
I could see them
accident.
going
Yeah.
till 11.
yes.
Then the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was Chase 6. I have not 100% given up hope, but at this point, it is nearly impossible that it's gonna happen this summer. I have been working with the Board of Ed, and I've been working with the county, and everybody is doing everything that they can. Our biggest holdup right now is soil conservation. They just have a long backlog. It's not like, we pull strings or anything, it's just things take forever. They had told the engineers it's probably September. So even if it wasn't soil conservation, we still need to RFP it, which, is not a fast process either. And I really took time to try to figure out a way around it. And with the grant funding we got for it, we have to RFP it. There's just no way around it. So unless we can push something through really fast, I don't see how it's gonna happen. It really, there's a very specific time frame. It's gonna take 6 weeks to do the road, and for maximum safety, it needs to be after teachers are off the campus, because they stay a week or two after the students. So it needs to be after the teachers are off the campus too, and before the teachers return in the fall, because the old Campus Avenue has to be demolished before they can start the new one. So there's gonna be a period where the only way you can access the property is, from the other side.
Can't they get down Center, I was gonna say, can't they get down Center Street?
And they can, but in the interest of safety, it really would be best, like, if there's an emergency, then that's gonna add minutes on to the time to get there, so even,
Can I ask a dumb question? We can't leave the existing road
not
there
This is
while they
sediment
build the new
control.
ones?
there's sediment and erosion, right?
And erosion, they won't let you be asked that question.
Yes, we already
There's
explored
no
that.
way they can petition an exception because of emergency?
Now, when it comes to that settlement erosion, they were hard to budge on it, and
And
it's
it's-
right where the old road is.
The plan was to do it during summer break all along.
Right.
It's just because of that and no way around it, it's just absolutely necessary.
But we can still get his new
Yes.
building built.
Yes, we can do the McElwee stuff, and we will have everything staged so that as soon as the time is right next summer when, if we really want to, we can start it right after school lets out.
So another year, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's just insane.
I know, it seems
I mean,
like somebody ought to go advocate for us.
It's not just
It
one
is.
thing though. I mean, we just got the go ahead to order the stoplight, which is, the pole is a 12-month lead, up to a 12-month lead time.
What is that?
The stoplight.
Stop.
Yeah, so it's not like it's just soil conservation that we could go back.
Yeah, I
And it's
figured we
not
were
just
able to
one
get this
thing.
done.
I haven't completely, I still have a small shred of hope, but I'm just being real with you guys.
Don't we have any contacts with soil conservation, Greg?
We do, yeah, but the traffic light is what the main problem was, is she just told you about this, up there told us it's up to 12 months.
I mentioned the traffic light last because that's the least problem. Like, we could technically get the roads done
Right.
and just not have a light in
I was saying,
place.
they're not gonna let you open it up that way.
Yeah, they won't let you.
Well, for
Yeah.
disregard what I just said.
Unless you want to put traffic controls, have the cops stand out there about time all day.
Well, we could jump really make a four-way stop.
You can make it, yeah, I was gonna say 4-way stop.
So anyway, I know that's not what you guys want to hear. Hey, can we focus on the positive that we just got the grant agreement for one of the sources of funding? So we have like 6 years for that. So it's not like we're close to losing the grant money.
Well, then we need to concentrate on buses coming down St. Paul, because I saw 4 of them the other day coming down St. Paul. That's got to stop.
They come down Center Street all the time.
They're taking our roads, and somebody needs to go to the Board of Ed, I think, again, and reiterate, they cannot use our roads.
We bought this, what, 2 months ago? I went up there.
And the problem I think you're gonna have there is you've got some contractors that see all that backup and they wanna get out.
And we've told them in the past that coming down St. Paul Street, one of these days, a fire company's gonna need to get out, and they're gonna
And
be
that's
blocking.
exactly what they were doing.
And they did, and then Boonesboro had a fire call, and then it stopped.
Yep.
Now they're doing it again.
Every time I've seen one of them do it, I tell them, you're not supposed to come down those streets. You have to come out campus.
So who was their boss? Contractors, drivers.
It would be the independent individual contractors, but it would be through the transportation.
So the Board of Education cannot put somebody in place to direct traffic out there while they're exiting school, because it's a safety hazard and it's a fire hazard.
Well, it sounds like we need to go with the Department of Transportation, not the Board
I
of
think
Education.
I think you need to address the Department of Transportation
Well,
probably, yes.
Once upon a time, they did let the buses go out before the students in their vehicles.
They do.
Well, why don't they do it now?
No, they don't.
No,
No, everybody gets released at the same time.
Same
At the
time.
elementary
they're not
schools,
helping
they let the
themselves.
buses.
Elementary school may be different. I'm not sure about the elementary school, but everybody at the middle and high school gets out at the
Well, they
same
got
time.
that rotation
Elementary
too,
school,
where they go
yeah,
from
elementary school,
They-
they let the buses go
middle
first.
Half the buses will line, half the buses line up at the high school, half line up at the middle school, and then they switch.
Yeah.
But we
And then the
went up
buses
there and
follow.
directed traffic before at Maple,
Yeah.
and they still want to come out Maple. I mean, Kevin was here, and we went up there, and we had them done in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
And
they
that-
still complained that wasn't good.
That time, that was the principal sending them out center.
Yes,
The principal was sending half of them out center.
Yeah, he wants to get teachers out.
yes.
He wants to get the kids off campus
Get
fast.
everybody
Yeah.
Off campus, yeah.
I think the transportation department should be able to step in
I
and put somebody in place so that we can have fire and citizen safety taken care of to exit the school system.
Well, our in-service, which is, all of them, starts in the first week of August. So if you want to get a bug in somebody's ear, that's the time to do it. And then they can make sure all the bus drivers know you are not to go down those streets during
Well,
in-service.
I'm in favor of a do not enter one ways. During certain hours, you can enter really quick.
Well, I mean, we can
Well,
set
I
up there,
agree.
we can,
Once
There
you
is,
let them
there
know.
is a do not enter there down by the ball field, but
we've never done
those
that.
people.
Or
pay
put a
attention
weight
to
restriction
it.
on that road like
Well,
was suggested one other
that's-
time.
That's what I was gonna say. We can do the way we talked about it before.
And we
Weight
proposed
restriction.
that years ago.
What are they gonna do if we block Center Street?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what Mary Lee just said, yeah.
I mean, let's just play. what we need
They
to
were warned.
Yeah.
You guys warned them.
Yeah, they were
I
told-
say we go and warn them and tell them, that if it happens, we are gonna block Center Street.
Yeah.
And if they come that way, we're gonna have to figure out a turnaround.
Yeah.
So should we go to a Board of Ed meeting and tell them, Or do we go to
Amy's
a
saying
Department
we
of
need to go to
Transportation
Department
meeting
of
to tell them?
I think you need to go to the Department of Transportation at this
I
point.
agree with Amy.
Who's the contact person up there, do you know?
Brian Johnson is the superintendent.
Well, we also need
Johnson.
to be, we also want to keep a good working relationship, as Rachel's pointing out, to get
Yes.
this whole
Yes.
intersection.
Now, is
But that has
there,
nothing really to do with that intersection because they're blocking the fire.
is there a problem coming down Center Street and going out Orchard?
I mean, there's no light there, it's still gonna be a holdup, and, I mean,
They shouldn't come down Center, that's still our
Well-
street.
Yeah, but.
Is there sidewalks up there at that side of, at that part of Center?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that would be one way you can get them stopped, if there's no sidewalks there.
Right.
But
Now, once
There's
you
sidewalks
pass
from
Center,
Orchard
once you
to
pass
school.
Orchard,
After that,
there's no sidewalk.
well, and so they should not come past Orchard
No.
because there are no
And there
sidewalks.
are no sidewalks in Orchard.
Now, buses.
What if you all sat there
That's what I'm
and
saying.
blocked Orchard
we can't.
and Center?
But with
So
them
think
going
about
out, coming down Orchard and, turning right, going out on 40, that shouldn't be a problem, because that's getting them out of the school quick too, and that way they don't have to come in that traffic light and make that real sharp right-hand turn.
I mean. the
That
easiest-
right-hand turn's not that bad to
The
do.
easiest way for them to turn is just
So,
all to come out
man.
Campus Drive.
Exactly.
Maple, but that's-
That's the
Yeah.
road that's built to
I
handle the
mean,
traffic.
They go up to the stoplight, but that stoplight is very friendly.
Yes, it is.
You know, they're not gonna set, they might set there a one traffic light, but they
Yeah.
should set through more than one. I mean, I don't.
I think you've got multiple problems on that campus. You've got a lot of parents that are picking up kids. Plus you have kids that are driving and everybody getting out at the same time. It's just, everybody's trying to get the buses out.
That going past the middle, elementary school should be one way
Yes,
in all the time.
yes.
I agree.
The school board will not do that, will not make it one way.
Once
I
upon a time, I
Because you
think
can't,
it's
you
in the
can't get your
seventies,
clerk
they
passed.
did. They
Especially
did it.
when there's a.
What's that?
parents line
Back in
there.
the seventies, they did it, they had, one, you can't get back through there during certain times. I mean, you could,
Well, they
it was
got
always
signs up
two
now,
way,
no-
but
no,
during school hours.
Well,
right
maybe we
turns
should
on
put this
certain
on our
areas.
list.
One
of
way.
comments with the commissioners.
I think we need to show up at the Department of Transportation meeting, is what I think.
You know where they have their meetings?
Department of Transportation, I don't.
Probably the board, but I'm just guessing.
I would imagine the same as the board, but I don't know. I truly don't.
They got what, 3 or 6 buses that go down through there. 2 of them is from the elementary.
Are they all Cs? Do they have like a number and a C behind them? They're contractors.
That's contract. I'm fine with going up there and talking to the superintendent myself. I'll just, is it still back on Commonwealth? Is that still
Yes,
transportation?
yes.
I'll just go up there one day.
I mean, there are streets.
I'll ask him what he wants, like if he wants an official contingency from, the mayor and town council.
Let me know when you're going up.
Tell them we're prepared to come to
Yeah.
a meeting if we need to.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's a simple fix. You tell the bus drivers, there's one way out. It's on Campus Drive at Maple. I mean,
They should
once
be able
that
to
light
put
is set up
somebody out
there.
They should be able to put somebody out there to
Yeah.
assist.
Yeah.
With them getting out on Mapleville Road.
Yes.
It's only gonna take a half an hour.
It's not even that.
Whatever.
I mean,
That'd be amazing.
Kevin did a couple times and it was like, what, 10, 15 minutes?
At the most.
Because you're gonna let Campus Drive empty out and you're done.
Well, if they let all the buses get off there before the car traffic gets in there, you can get all them buses off of there in 10 minutes.
But that, the principal will not do 2 shifts. Yeah, I agree.
The principal what?
Will not do 2 dismissals. Buses first and then cars after.
It literally would only have to be 5 minutes apart.
I know.
That's
He
it.
won't do it. He says, my
Not even
teachers, they
that.
work hard all day. They deserve to leave when the class is over.
Well, just to play devil's advocate with the new road rule and teachers being on campus, they do extended, we used to call it summer school. It's called extended school year.
Right.
Are they gonna throw that up when, that's probably gonna be 50 teachers at every school doing an extended school year.
I don't think they offer summer school.
That-
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
we did when I was there. Yeah, when I was at that, we offered it at that.
Only certain schools have.
Oh, not every school, okay.
Not every school.
I think Boonesboro does though, because I spoke to somebody over the weekend that used to do an extended, what you're talking about. She
It's a big
did,
deal
she do
because
summer
teachers
school.
make double the money
Yeah.
in that session, so, yeah.
You don't have anything else?
Phew, that was enough.
Chief of Police, what you got, Dave?
Well, guys, you guys can read the report, it's pretty big.
Very
So,
good job.
if you got any questions, but I will say, we did 67 hours at the carnival. We covered the carnival this year. They were very pleased. The guys have already been paid. Mary Jean, got that check, I think, right in the mail by Friday, didn't she, Kim?
Yes, we deposited today.
Okay. So, we had the meeting with the cameras, and I know that was in June, but just to, bring on my budget. So, as of today, year to date, I'm showing 194,525.73 as a surplus, but there's the contingency of 25,000 and the 28,000, 14 to fire, 14 to rescue still to come out of that. If you take that out, we're at 141,525, with about another 30,000 coming out by the end of the month. So we're looking at a surplus of about 111. And I only say that because Mary Lee was talking about putting possibly $90,000 as set aside. But we got some really good information from the camera guys.
Yes.
The camera system that we were looking at was very expensive, and we can do way, way better. LPRs, which are fixed license plate readers, if we cover every entry and exit point into town, it would take 7. They are done by a company that leases the cameras, and our lease, if we go to solar powered cameras, which would make them standalone cameras, is $23,500 a year. So, but that doesn't let anybody in or out of this town without us knowing it. The other cameras, Detective Varner brought up a couple scenarios that we could do. One would be run fiber first, then extend off the fiber in years to come. We're thinking about, talk to Sergeant Rogers, Sergeant Whittington, Amy. We're kind of camera to camera at this point, but with the infrastructure we have, we could still run that along Main Street, north and south. Spikers is actually the security company that HPD uses, and they have over 700 cameras, and they're doubling that within the next 5 years. We're looking at only $1,000 a camera through Spikers. So, I mean, it's way cheaper than like the $70,000 we were looking at for 7 cameras, so.
How many are you gonna put in, Dave?
Well, I want to see what our system will hold.
Okay.
I'm talking about making this the hub now, since it's more central. We would still have ability to view everything. Actually, every officer would have the ability. You guys could download the app and have the ability to look at cameras. I would like to see anywhere from 4 to 6, north and south. So a total of maybe 10 to 12.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I just think that would give us, I mean, and as the town grows and we get more people, Hagerstown has the call center that they call it that monitors the cameras. So you're talking civilian positions, a lot cheaper than police. You know, I was talking to Amy today, you know, maybe if we ran 2 12-hour shifts, you know, we could cover the cameras, you know, in the deep hours of the morning at a lot reduced, less money than having 2 or 3 more police officers. And honestly, I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, them cameras are gonna solve way more problems and Ray even adding 5 police officers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, we can't be everywhere at once. You know, no way can the town afford to flood the town with 10 or 12 police officers, but we can put 10 or 12 cameras up for $12,000 or $15,000 plus a service agreement, and a much better system. What Nick is talking about, we have 2 pixel cameras now.
I think that's what he was
And these are
saying.
gonna be 8-pixel cameras.
Hmm.
I mean, they brought a little display up.
Yeah,
and they-
he showed
I mean,
us on his
Their
laptop.
nighttime pictures look like they can literally read an ID if the person's holding a driver's license in their
Wow,
hand.
that's nice.
So, I mean,
Yeah, that would help with the, down there at that gas station.
yes, the AC&T out, I
Out
mean, we
there,
could go all the way out there. and
Because you've got a lot of people going in there shopping.
Yep.
I think you can catch them.
So the LPRs would be, you know, they're gonna catch any movement in and out of town. They're fixed cameras, but it sounds, I mean, Hagerstown's got 20. They have 20
Okay.
entry points into Hagerstown, so they're using 20 LPRs.
And they use a drone too.
They do, they have, how many drones did he
I think
say?
he said he had 10 drones.
Yeah, it's an
Wow.
unbelievable amount
Yeah.
of drones, so, and they'll come down here anytime we need any type of assistance like with that or anything. But he's been doing, he was a detective for probably 15 years. He's been doing the cameras for the last 5, I think he said. He's very thorough in what he does, throws his stuff, but he's literally installing the cameras for us. And he said if we need any help, he'll even build the boxes for us for nothing. He said it's a couple dollars to build the boxes.
And one thing I like that he said about Spikers is they're good with service.
Service and they're local. He said
They're there.
he never calls the guy that he's never not answered.
Yeah.
So, but, so, you know, just some food for thought for going into next year, but we have this surplus, you know, going in, and next year, I mean, we should be looking at an equal surplus if everything holds true. We're probably gonna decommission the black Charger. I know we were saying the Tahoe, but we just got a bill on the black Charger, roughly around $5,000 or $6,000 fixed thing, and it's just not working. So the Tahoe's still running, so we'll just keep it running and decommission the black Charger. Billy's in the black Taurus now. So first thing we gotta do is get the LPRs taken off the Charger. We're gonna put them on Jim's Explorer, and then James will probably put it on municipal bids. We're hoping to get them, hopefully that pulls another $5,000 or $6,000, you know, to come back into the budget. And
Sounds good.
yeah, so
What's the main problem with the Charger?
the rack and pinion we were told about 2 months ago, Ray, and then we took it in. It was a radiator hose that they're saying like it was $1,000. Rear brakes were like another $500 or $600. Help me out, guys. It was.
Tires was one that we had.
We did put tires on it. We just thought that we got those.
Is that a Hemi?
Yes.
The 5.7 Hemi.
A radiator hose is $1,000.
He said you have to drain the whole system. We take our stuff to Motorworks because we try to keep it local. I mean, you know, and they treated us well, but they're
expensive. They're very expensive.
Side. I mean, but we're not doing that.
It's
Yeah.
The radiator
But you can't
hose,
actually buy a Hemi for $600.
it must be that private guy.
Yeah, you need a motion from the council on those cameras
Cameras,
and Spikers.
Well, we haven't got any official pricing. Yeah, we do have bids for the LPRs.
Yeah, I sent a contract or an estimate to Dave and
Now,
James.
the
for
one
the
price
LPRs.
is 23.5, the other was like 27.6.
And-
But he's telling us he might be able to waive that $4,500 an install fee. And either give us an extra camera, which we don't need because the 7 covers our positions. Like I told Amy, I said, well, then we'll buy 6 and you can give us the 7. But anyway, we should ought to do it for the 23.5 and then the yearly contract would be 23.5. I mean, we should be able to move on that pretty quickly. I mean,
He said that if we signed that agreement within 2 weeks, he'd have them up.
like I said, those are the ones that HPD uses, Montgomery County. So, I mean, and they all talk throughout the state. So if Montgomery County sends out a hit, they can do Boonesborougg, our system will send Montgomery County a hit that car's in Boonesborough.
And vice versa. We can create our own hot list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really, yeah.
That's good.
So, but anyway, so certainly by next meeting, I mean, we should be ready, you know, or I can send it out to you guys. I mean,
Well, I think we have to put out like an
If it's gonna be
RFP.
less than 50,000, we don't have to do a formal RFP, but we do have to.
And we
What
may
if this
put it on
is,
the agenda.
but this is what I want to say, it's not a sole proprietorship, but it's
Sole source.
Sole source.
I think
Yeah.
the fact that you have, like you talked to other companies about cameras and found that this would be the best deal to be compatible with our system
Yeah.
and everything.
But-
was-
Well, I mean, we have to, essentially, we have to, but not the same thing. But we've got the quote from, with Vacara, which was 70. We've got this quote, which is 23.
Yeah.
So there's 2.
Yeah, just send me
Okay.
like the actual numbers so that
Okay.
they have it in front of them at next month's meeting.
Okay.
They can actually vote on it.
Sounds good. Yep, we can do that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions?
I did have a question just because the Vanish thing came up and I saw we did have,
Yes.
call out there.
Yes.
So do we, and I guess you guys will monitor whether we need to change coverage or.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it turned up nothing. I mean, you know, so Me and Rachel's already talked about it. It's, there was an allegation of underage drinking, and it was at a private invite-only party. James's daughter, actually, who was under 21, attended the very last party they had. The first party they didn't have security at. This party, it was pretty heavy security. They were clearly marking with an X and a wristband for those, and she said it was run well. So. Yeah, the only reason I know of this guy at all is because of attending Groundswell Mixed Martial Arts School. They did a lot of the security for him. He's just always had a really good reputation of doing the right thing. So, but I don't know him personally, but I know guys that work and do the security details, and they're very serious about what they do. So
they have
yes,
coverage, so that's good.
yes.
It just was like multiple things happening at once.
Yeah.
They had that call,
Well,
and I
they
got a
do too,
complaint.
they've got,
It just
everybody's
seems
got
like
codes.
we were dealing with the
Gotcha,
cluster
okay.
here, but
Okay, so it's not.
I don't think so. Not yet. Yeah.
Thank you. Good job.
Dave, I like this report, man. Yeah.
Oh,
Very good job.
Thorough and busy and get the job done.
Keep on, we'll need 2 pages.
It doesn't mean crime's gone up, it just means that we're accurate.
I struggled to get it all on one page this time.
Yeah.
I struggled.
Cut some things away.
Decrease that font a little bit.
Okay, anybody have anything under mayor and council correspondence and updates?
Well, I did have one thing, but I don't know the number. Do we have anything left, do you know, Kim, in our contributions for the year? Do you know?
For donations?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we have, I think, 3 or 4.
because my thought was maybe do we want to donate it to the fire company, or I'm sorry, the ambulance company for the Knights of Carnival? Okay. I'm not for it. I was just trying to think they were, missed 2 nights if they needed,
Just as a
extra
just general
donation,
comment.
just, to help with the lights. It was just a thought.
Probably have to make any kind of contribution to
They do have insurance, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much.
One good thing on the entertainment, if you cancel the carnival or the show before 3 o'clock, the only thing you gotta pay the band is what down payment you paid them to hold
Right.
the deposit.
Hold them.
You do not have to pay the full amount. Now, if they show up that night and you cancel, you gotta pay them the full thing.
Right.
So that only happened Friday night, and luckily, that's a local band, so they wasn't hit real hard on that. But, they canceled early enough that they didn't have to pay, Reagan a whole lot of money. They only lost their deposit. Same way with, we lost our.
I would like to Mary Lee, you were just suggesting is make a contribution to the.
Yeah, I just, I was gonna suggest that if there's not, if it's very, it's a small amount of money, I know.
I would say we have to make any connections to the fire department.
Yes, we went, because they lost.
Yeah, they
the party.
But nobody goes up there to watch it,
Watch what?
where they park.
Oh, they're there,
Oh,
but
yeah,
they get it full.
yeah, they-
Once it-
Last
once it-
year.
once it's full.
Once it's full, they kind of leave.
Yeah. So they leave and then guess what happens?
They get to be a mess there. They
Yeah.
can go in and park anywhere.
All right, that's my only thought.
Okay, don't forget the ribbon cutting on, next Saturday, not this Saturday, but 21st, I think it is, at 11 a.m. I think it's 11 a.m.
No,
at
the Road Museum.
Road Museum and the trolley station. Yes. Yeah. Did everybody get a email about turn the page? That's not until July.
July.
July 19th at 10 a.m.
I
30th.
I saw the email.
I have put this. Anything else for correspondence? Okay, not under new business. Approval of ordinance 2025-01 fiscal year 2026 budget and tax rate.
So it's the same budget essentially that you've seen for months now. Before the public hearing, I had sent out a list of the changes that have been made. There were only very tiny changes made since then, which was increasing the environmental commission and the park board's money. After their meetings, they asked if they could, environmental commission asked if they could have more for a couple of things, and I talked with Janine about it, and then the park board, I just added it for some things that they want to do. Other than that, everything is the same.
So now I know you're gonna, I'm sorry, but now my next question would be, if we would go with these cameras that we have to leave, are we gonna be able to find that somewhere in the budget?
Well,
You know
the
what I mean,
first
like,
year is gonna be
the first
covered
year's
by
covered.
this year's money, right?
And I'm doing next year. I'll be fine. I'm gonna save money on the car. I know what I'm doing with the car this year, so I can save the 23,000 on the car just about.
Do you know how long of a lease you enter into for them?
I don't,
I think it's as long as obviously as long as we have the cameras.
right, but I don't know how long the initial lease is. I don't know that.
But if something happens and for some reason you don't have the money next year, are you able to get out of it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
But at the very least, you have the money set up for the first year
We have
out
enough.
of this year's budget.
Yeah, I mean,
So then next year, it would be the same time of year again, so.
We would have to
budget
incorporate
for
it next year. We would
yes.
still have to vote to use carryover funds at our next meeting to buy the cameras.
I
Fund
think-
them for the first year.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was just, you know what I mean? Or if
I
we get to a
understand.
point of amending the budget to
I
figure out
think,
where we'll put
I
it.
think Sergeant Rogers is gonna save us enough money on fuel, driving a motorcycle. Fine.
Yep.
I'm gonna do
He's
my
gonna
best.
ride the horse.
Yeah.
Right?
I tried to get a pony from the carnival. I was gonna start small. So
That would be small.
Let's say, I mean, just like a motorcycle saving gas, I was trying to save hay.
He won't let us ride it. He won't let us ride it either.
All right, well, I will make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 budget as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the ordinance number 2025-01 fiscal year 2026 budget and tax rates. Do I have any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Approval of ordinance 2025-02, adopt restrictions for establishments selling cannabis in the town of Boonesborough.
I'll make a motion
We have a motion, do we
to
have a
approve
second?
the ordinance 2025-02.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Proposed deliveries only parking spaces on South Main Street.
I'll let Dave give the details for it, but, they're having issues with deliveries being made in front of Giovanni's and, whatever's next to it.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to see about setting aside a couple of the parking spaces to have deliveries only hours.
The trucks have been going up St. Paul Street, and again, we're in fear that it's gonna block the fire department at the wrong time. They're there sometimes anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour.
I've seen them there for an hour.
Yes,
Yes.
So
so,
since it's a state road, we had to reach out to State Highway for approval. And they pretty much said that they could understand where we were coming from and we knew the area better than them. So as long as we talked about it in a public meeting and that you guys had attempted to talk to the owners, which I think James said that he had. So if this is the best way to resolve the situation, then they would
puts
be.
the
okay.
truck right in between both restaurants, and, I mean, the worst thing they have to do is cross the street to get into the Mexican restaurant.
And with Crawford's open, they'll be able to sit there and wheel down to Crawford.
So is it the first two spots or how many?
First three.
First three.
For,
It's Monday through Friday, I think we said 8 to 10 a.m.
yeah,
8 to 10?
they can put 2 hours in.
All right, well, that's fine.
Okay, so what happens if they get deliveries after that and they're parking the street? I mean, that's my question is, does it solve anything,
the
or is it
biggest-
just taking away parking for business?
The biggest problem is the tractor trailers that are coming in. They're typically almost always in.
Okay.
And we have
once this is set up, we can speak with the business owner again to talk to the delivery company, say, look, we reserved you spaces. These are your hours. And that's pretty much the hours that are already going. Now we're giving you space to.
You guys also identified that those buildings have rear parking. So
Correct.
maybe it's taking the Main Street parking, but it's not eliminating.
Not for residents, it should not be.
There's parking behind those.
And who goes to Giovanni's at 8 o'clock
Or the
in the morning?
residents.
Probably, yeah, I bet you do.
Well, he would.
Yeah.
Somebody wake him up.
If it's first day,
So what's the consequences, what's the consequences gonna be if somebody is parking?
So we're gonna use our new citations and cite them for,
One of the new citations was any sign.
so.
No,
Every morning about 5:30, or about once a week, you catch them, they block the road off, the actual
Oh,
full
they
road.
park right on the street.
When I come to work 5:30 in the morning, I gotta go out, make sure there's no oncoming traffic on the opposite side of the road to get out.
And where are they parking at then, Greg?
Right here in front of the Mexican restaurant, they block off both to turn in the travel lane, it's one of the full-size tractor trailers, and he's got his ramp pulled off. It's always early in the morning, but there's still a lot of vehicles on Main Street at 5:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning, people are heading out to go to work.
So I'll take a picture next time, so you know about what time you're there.
Okay.
Okay, but my question would be, so do we need to do it every day, or is there a way to, like, ask these businesses when they're getting these deliveries?
Well, I know that they get, I spoke to Giovanni, they get deliveries Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Giovanni's, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at Sizzle. He does, sometimes on Fridays. So,
I was just, you know what I mean, I was trying to like inconvenience it the least as possible, if there was a way.
And with the new Crawford's opening up, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna be, you know.
Well, my next question is then, are they gonna complain that they don't have delivery spaces?
Well,
You know,
it's
like
not
the
that
other
far.
street.
It's not that far away.
I agree, I'm just
They
saying,
can
you know.
park one place and deliver it all.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola used to park down in
Three
the
spaces.
parking space and wheel it up and deliver to everybody.
Well, that was my first thought, why can't
You
you
got
park?
Friday.
Yeah, I agree, I agree.
But,
But it's 2 hours in the morning.
yeah,
So it's not,
State Highway didn't say that you had to vote on this, but I think if we did have a vote on the record, it would be helpful.
Well, I feel like we
I
should
agree.
probably, I don't know, don't you feel like we should like have a public hearing or say it's gonna be the first 3 spaces and these are the hours, because I feel like it's a little
Well-
vaguer now.
But it's on our agenda.
Yep.
I know, but on the agenda it just says proposed, it doesn't say a vote, it doesn't say specifics. I don't know, you know, I just would hate to have somebody take parking spaces in front of my house and I didn't know anything about.
These parking spaces aren't in front of the house though. There's, no, that's why we chose those spaces, so that they don't interfere with
So what about
residents.
the insurance company in there or the distillery?
And that's why it's closed off at 10, and that's why it stopped at 10. Yep.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yep, yep,
You know,
yep,
like
yep.
to be on the side of, you know, making sure we get people the
So,
opportunity.
do we have a motion to approve it or a motion not to approve it?
I say we make a motion to approve.
So is that your motion?
I did it.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion second to propose deliveries only from, 8 to 10.
Monday through Friday.
parking spaces on South Main Street. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Introduction of resolution 2503, development fees. Now, this is only an introduction.
I'm not asking for a vote. So in the last meeting, I talked about how we need to be doing something to recoup some of the costs that is required when Greg goes out to inspect these properties, like how much time were you spending out at Jenkins South?
I looked the other day, last week I was a little over 100 hours since it started here, sir.
So that's taking away from his other duties, and that's just, you know, essentially coming out of our general fund to fund this new development that's happening. So $100 per EDU that I have on here, let me back up a second. So this resolution I'm proposing would cover all new development, residential and commercial. And there were 3 parts that are broken down. So the inspection fee that I just vaguely covered would be to help us get the cost back for how much time Greg puts out there. And if I would have gone in order, the first one is the water and wastewater master plan and hydraulic model user fee. This is something that had actually been approved by the DMUC and the mayor and council back in 2021 when Paul was here. It was never put in resolution format. That's what I'm doing right now. So this has been brought up to the DMUC again recently, just because it was 4 years ago that it was approved. They are still very much in favor, didn't want to change anything. So this $1,500 per EDU is already in effect. It's just not in resolution form. The capital improvement program fee. So since the water and wastewater would help cover the costs for water and sewer improvements, that would be a result of new improvement. The capital improvement program fee is for police and public safety, administration, planning and zoning, and highways and streets. So when a new development goes in, we have to start taking over plowing that and paving it. So this $1,000 per EDU would help us cover the cost for those 4 major areas, since the water and wastewater is already covered in the first one. The $1,000, by the way, was the average per EDU. If you would break down our costs for FY24, what's projected to end FY25, and then what we budgeted for FY26. So the average of those for how many EDUs are in service and how much money is spent in those 4 categories, it's $973 per EDU. So I rounded it up to 1,000. So that's where that number came from. And then the inspection fee, I was estimating how much time Greg spends out there, but actually I didn't put enough in if you're at 100 hours just for there. So,
It's in that rate cap. We'll go there and give you the exact amount.
no, that just, I think that I had used I want to say I was looking at like 20 hours a week. But I don't.
Depending on what they're doing. Some days I might be there 2, and another day I could be there 8.
Yeah, I knew that there were days you were there all day. So honestly, the inspection fee could probably be higher. But that is where these numbers came from. And I believe that in previous meetings, I had talked about, I know in the last one I talked about covering Greg's time. I talked about that we really should be doing something to help cover the costs for all of our engineering fees. Like, if we're not gonna have an engineer in-house, then we at least should have something to help offset how much we're paying. Like, for instance, for Chase 6, I know that that's partially our project, but just to get to the point of doing the road, we've had a couple invoices to pay B&R, who's Mr. Draper's engineer. We've had to pay them for our portion of the plans, like to get the county documents in order and everything. So no matter what, we end up incurring engineering costs, and if we can't afford to have a full-time engineer, we should at least be covering it somehow. So anyway, this is just a first step. As I said, it's an introduction. I did fill in the dates, but please don't feel pressured by those. I just wanted to get the conversation started.
Is it time for me to talk now?
Go right ahead, Eric. Surprised you haven't cut in yet.
All right, so I sent Rachel and Tony an email about this the other night, 2:00 in the morning.
1:30.
1:30 is exact. Is that after ice cream? It was after ice cream.
I was still up.
And
Before his evening cigar.
Yeah, not,
He's all hopped up on this.
so not to belabor the point, I wanted to talk to Rachel today, and Tony joined us since he's retired and has nothing else to do. I thought under the capital improvement fee specifically, I thought my comment is one size may not fit all. And I'll use the example of the lady on Young Avenue who recently wanted to add a in-law suite. So she would now potentially pay this additional $1,000. Okay, now, let's take Dean North and Dean South, for example. About 100 houses between the two. I really thought a development is going to have more of an impact on our systems and such, more than $1,000 per EDU. And I guess maybe what Rachel, appreciate what she said, she's right. But in addition, I'd like to start building this capital improvement fund. We have over $20 million on our sheet right now of capital improvements that we'd like to make. And we have to fund it somehow. So I was proposing, instead of $1,000, just plain vanilla across the board, we come up with something a little higher for a major development, however we define that, as opposed to the in-law suite. And Mr. Staley up here just added 3 apartments. We had a lot of good, productive discussion today about it. So again, I won't go into all that.
But now remember, major development brings you tax, real estate tax dollars, property tax dollars. So, it contributes more than the in-law suite does.
That's all true too. So there's different ways to look at this. And I went through the water and wastewater models. I read a lot of stuff over the weekend about what the costs would be for the developments, but the developers would bore that cost.
I thought the developers board some of the engineering costs too. I thought we billed that stuff when we did these permit and plan review fees. Is that wrong with that?
That's all that struck me. And I spent a lot of time reading this over the weekend. So just back to the in-law suite, they'd be required to pay us $1,000.
Not unless they up their EDUs.
They did. They increased by 1. Yep.
So it does increase the EDU?
Yep.
If you add like a half bath?
Yep.
It depends on what the.
Depends on what they're doing.
What the
It's
purpose,
it's
yeah.
the fixture. Yeah. So in that case, they were charged an EDU, which was another tap fee basically. And they now be charged this additional $1,000 plus the additional $1,500 above it. And I thought just for these little one-off things, maybe that was kind of a lot, whereas opposed to a major development, it wasn't very much. So just food for thought, and we talked a good bit about it today and had a lot of good conversation.
I'm gonna ask another question now. Now, once you did that, who's gonna track to make sure it gets updated in the water system that they get billed their fixed fees for an additional EDU on their bill?
Well, that would be up to that and that would be.
We gotta make sure there is
Yeah,
a, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if one doesn't talk to the other, then it doesn't,
You're right about that. Same way we did it when we assessed.
yeah.
For example,
Anytime we make a change like that,
Yeah.
Mary Lee, we've got to put the structure in place, or otherwise we might as well make them waste their time, right?
Right.
So I'll just finalize with saying, I kind of had my hat on, but we have over $20 million of CIP projects. How are we gonna fund it? And that's just what. Fair enough, Rachel?
Do we know, like, does Smithsburg do this, or Middletown, or?
Some places call them impact fees. which
Yeah,
we don't have.
I just, like I said, there's also special taxing districts. I know there's all
Yes,
kinds of
there
different ways to
is.
fund different things.
There is that, so I didn't look into that, but I know Middletown, for example, tax $50 a quarter on everybody's water bill.
Yeah.
And we're not ready to get down that path, but.
Middletown charges a 1% capital improvement fee on development. I thought EDUs was a better way of doing it so that it would be proportionate. So like the in-law suite, that was just how my brain worked.
Good job.
So the wastewater model update, that's a done deal with us. We've already made that
Right, we just
decision.
making sure it gets in.
It just never became in a resolution that we were gonna start to charge. So that $1,500,
Non-negotiable.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was already passed.
Yeah. So what the conversation is starting around is the last two, the capital improvement program fee and the inspection fee. Where do we want to go with that? Rachel's given us some opportunities, to think about it, discuss it, and come back and heck, another pass at it on 14th, and then, put it into place. But
So with your other alternative, if you don't think the inspection fee is enough, is it per visit or an inspection fee of $100 up to X hours and then an additional charge, or just trying to figure out different ways to?
yeah, I don't know that.
It might help if I sat down and talked. Greg was out at class and stuff last week when I was doing this. Probably help if I sat down and talked to you about what you actually.
But I mean, some of it, I guess, is also covered in your capital improvement fee. You know what I mean? Like, because you're getting 1,000, which is covering costs, and we said, add.
No, I did not do salaries, no.
Oh, so you didn't call it salary?
It was
Oh, it's just-
administration, it was not operation salaries. Well, I think part of.
Again, also, we're increasing our tax base when you add a new development, so you're getting, a significant increase in revenue every year. Taxes.
If it doesn't cover your expensive before the development comes in, where like Grace County spend.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, but you do generate from it, then,
yes.
just help sustain it, but I'm not saying not eliminate, I'm just trying to figure out, that's why I'm asking, do we have comparable numbers from other places? Are we in the middle, are we high, are we low? Do we know?
We have comparable for what?
Like in capital improvement program, be like, $50 a quarter versus, or,
But you're talking about charging the residents.
No, I'm talking about, well, this is any new development, so this is the in-law suite or a brand new house,
So
right?
what would be per quarter? You said $50.
Well, they were saying Middletown does a capital improvement.
He's talking about what they impose on residents.
Right, which he's talking about funding the capital improvement dollars, which kind of the capital improvement fee would be to help fund the future capital improvement projects for now. That's where we're going with this. It's revenues, I'm just making, again, when you charge it on a new house, it just goes into the price of the new house, which then filters down to everybody's assessments going on, but, you know what I mean, give or take, it really does. So I don't know, I get what Eric's saying, whether it's fair for a new house versus, adding an addition, but I guess just if it requires another EDU, it's kind of,
I'm not sure on the last two fees where we're gonna land yet.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, if we're introducing it, if we haven't landed, do we, I guess, talk about it at the workshop if you have different suggestions for those numbers?
Well, I think what you're suggesting there, we didn't, and I agree with you, how do other municipalities fund their capital improvements?
Right.
I'd like to know too.
Like I said, I know there's different ways to do it. I know Brunswick's new developments for special tax districts so that they paid a higher rate that kind of lessened the burden on the older part of town to not have to pay for all the infrastructure.
Well, and you're right, it's not to talk about, but the special tax in districts typically runs out.
Yes, it does.
You're gonna have something to be sustainable.
So, I mean, I'm sure.
The agenda for workshop.
So we are having a workshop.
Oh, I don't care. We don't need a workshop then.
We did workshop July 30th.
You mean June 30?
30th.
Not
Here.
unless, yeah, yeah.
But,
I mean, not
Well,
unless
we'll
there's
just- we'll
anything
just-
like
we'll just
pressing.
discuss that July.
Well, I mean, I'm good with the numbers. You can always change the resolution, right? And you guys are the ones that brought up changing. I'm
That's
good with
what
the
I said today,
recommendation.
we need to start somewhere and.
Yeah, it can
This is a good
always,
start.
it can always be.
And like you said, this is introduction.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, so we'll come back at the July 14th and we'll give,
yeah, unless somebody has a good reason to change these numbers.
okay. All right.
Well, one thing we talked about, the CIP fee, $2,000 instead of $1,000, right? $1,000 to go for the things that Rachel suggested, and the other $1,000 directly to the CIP fund. So you're kind of taking a step in trying to cover both.
And that wouldn't go away. Every time somebody purchases an EDU, we're gonna get CIP money.
CIP money and connection fees.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The other thing comes before under new business. Hearing none. Commission reports, Ricky, Harcourt.
We had a meeting on May 28th. We had two VIPs there, Mary Lee Kearns and Rachel Sowers.
Got security?
Yeah, we had security there. We had the Girl Scout troop.
All the Girl Scout troop.
Yeah, the Girl Scouts for security.
That's right. They requested, they requested permission to put a bat box in Schaefer Park. And it was approved, and I took it and gave it to Greg. And I'm not sure if it's up or not.
What was it?
It'll be up this week.
It'll be up this week.
The bat box?
It's
They put a library up there already, like it's there
It's a
now.
small box.
Yeah.
It's gonna go down,
Yeah.
it's going down to the last bathroom where they're close to where the pond is. That is.
Yep.
No, they just wanna do it.
Keeps insects down, right?
We can take it to your house. Park board applicants, we have two applicants for park board, Daryl Jones and Catherine Knight. They wasn't at the meeting, but they approved, park board approved that they get on the, park board. I'm not sure we can do it, we can, do it, under town council approval. So I'm just gonna let that slide.
I thought we were supposed to.
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to go ahead. They were gonna let.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, then, the park board would like to have Daryl Jones and Catherine Knight be on the park board.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Mayor needs to.
Oh, he
Well,
needs to recommend.
I was writing down their names. so-
Sorry.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to accept for how many years?
4.
4? Thank you. I'd like to appoint Daryl Jones,
Daryl Jones and Catherine
Catherine
Knight.
Knight to 4-year terms on the park board. I have a motion to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Motion-
There
we have
you
a
go.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. The ribbon cutting ceremony at Boone Trail went well and with a good attendance. Laura shared the Boone Trail proclamation with the park board. The cleanup was a success too. For the Arbor Day cleanup, they had 60 volunteers, 6 large bags of trash collected, and also 2 trees were planted in the park. And from the tree board, Jeff pruned trees and removed 3 dead trees in the historical park. He will be doing general tree maintenance on the trees in Schaefer Park in June. Daniel Coy, DNR, will be getting the town 9 and 10-year stickers for our existing Tree City signs. We will be getting 2 new Tree City signs to put up at the roundabout at Mapleville Road. We get approval from the state roads. During the concert series now, we will borrow 40 chairs from Cochran Auction for the June 14th concert, and the Legion has agreed to handle July 5th concert. Movie series, first movie, Tom and Jerry, had 65 people attend. There were a few glitches, but the problem was solved. The problem was they had the screen set up and they had it, the ties on it to keep it from flopping over. The problem was the wind came in and blew the down part up. So it just went, and they had to start over. Yep,
That's why it says don't put up 10-mile-an-hour winds.
that's it. Yep, it went. Milex donated door prizes for the movie. The fishing derby was a huge success with 140 children participating. $600 was donated by businesses in Waynesboro. We have 108 $5 gift cards left for next year. The times for the derby have been restructured, which I think is a great idea. Children 2 to 8 will register from 8 to 8:30 a.m. and fish from 8:30 to 9:30. Children 9 and 12 will register from 9:30 to 10 and fish from 12 to noon. 10 to noon.
Janet, were you measuring
Thank you.
fish? Make sure you're okay?
Yeah, they're
Green Fest was a huge success. They had 513 vehicles came through, and many more people carried items to be recycled. Children in need benefited from the leftover clothing, baggage train, but that was a success. Independence Celebration, we have 8 vendors for the event, and I have it if you want it, I can tell you who they are. Benches, 2 benches have been placed on the new walking trail. More learning signs, there's 2 signs that were broken, and repainting on the ground is needed. Laura will meet with Kelly Tenser from United Way about these problems. The little library, that was a Jackson Workers project, has been completed and will be placed near the police station by Public Works crew.
It's in.
It's there.
Thank you. It's in. Disc golf. Jeff and Laura will be meeting with Rachel about the location of some of these baskets. They were put in conservation areas.
Oh, shoot.
And one of them's kind of close to the lady, what's her name? The lady. And if they go over their fence, guess what? It's the cows. The cows. So they're gonna have. Let's see. Yeah. Park regulation signs. 2 large signs are needed for the updated park regulations. One should be near the police station and one by the flagpole at the main park. And they want to try a Schaefer Park treasure hunt, and they're just working here and there and trying to figure it out. Meeting was adjourned, and we're not going to have a meeting this month. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions, Ricky?
I have one of the park board in general, and I asked Greg, because he's here, the signs that we post for the no parking, so they don't come over the walkways, can we spend a couple of bucks and get real signs that don't blow in the wind and can't
We'll put them in permanently.
No, but like you can get like a plastic placard sign that you can mount to those stakes that's rigid, that won't bend and curl and look like we're unprofessional. I mean, I understand we have to put the signs up because people need to be
Common
schooled.
sense.
But if we have real placard signs, I think it
The new no parking signs that we use to put out here on Main Street are great. They're not like the cardboard, they're practical.
What's this for? Is this for the carnival?
It's for the carnival, it's for
Right.
Newsboard Days,
July 4th.
July 4th. I mean,
Those ribbons?
Yep.
anywhere the guys, Public Works has to install those stakes with those paper.
Well, it's ridiculous that they crossed that.
I know it is ridiculous, but we live in a ridiculous world. But I think we can afford to put some rigid signs on there and make it look professional.
Do we have some of those or do we need to order?
We have.
Yes.
Don't
How
you
do they
think?
parking signs down there? And if they do cross it, guess what?
Greg, for the carnival, from the police department following that path, is it possible to put that snow fencing up?
Yeah.
Don't you think we should, I mean, I think that would prevent, because they park right up against it, and then everybody's in a rush to leave, so they're turning around on it, which is probably worse than anything.
Yeah.
You know, turning their wheels over top of it.
Yeah, we line up the snow fence, then we might put no parking signs up.
Or you attach a couple stakes, where we're put the no parking sign
Yeah,
on
put
top of the
the
stake.
snow fence
Yeah.
with the.
No
I mean, if you're
parking.
letting them park on a soccer field, it's not even a parking lot to begin with, so
Yeah,
they're destroying that soccer field.
yes.
It looks like a cow pasture going from the police
does.
department into that field. There's no way, you can't get grass through there, we tried.
Walking through it, I did a couple nights from the carnival, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, they destroyed it, it's not, I wouldn't let my kids play.
I mean, if we take it away at this point, I think it's going to be more of a
Where they
conflict.
parked that before we didn't know that.
I'm not disagreeing with you. They used to go all the way up Della Lane. That's
Yeah.
what they used to do. They used to go up Della Lane, and it's just, if we're going to have them there, I think we need to put more professional signs up and make it look like we can do what we can do. It's just, those signs are ridiculous. Couldn't even read some of them. They won't curl up.
Why don't we just put
That's
some
exactly what-
barrier or something down there at the end
Well, we
at
could.
that parking place and just say no parking through the whole field?
you had that ceremony?
It blew.
It was inside the cracks of the trash can.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's,
Well, when we blocked off Parkview, the second or third night of the carnival, it stopped 90% of people from parking in that field because they wouldn't go around the police department and come in that way. Because we had that resident on Parkview, I mean, he couldn't even get in his own freaking driveway.
oh yeah, you all had that whole area blocked.
So we blocked that whole area on the second or third night.
Well, it was flooded too.
Yeah, and there was nights that there was nobody in that field, wasn't there? I
They
mean,
make for poor parking around town.
yeah, it did.
Got a couple parking tickets out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
say
they- I'm
just,
just, you know, if we
I
have
just
to
say
do that.
put a barrier up and don't let anybody go up that field.
I mean,
And they did it for, what, Boonesborough Days last year?
Yeah,
for the Boy
it's just
Scouts and
ridiculous.
everything?
They shouldn't
They
be,
did, they
shouldn't
did
be
it,
parking
the
there.
Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts wanted to park it for the, Labor Day
Yeah,
Food Truck Festival.
at Carnival, there's,
And they worked out fine because they had them organized.
and that's how I told them, because they were using Truist Bank. This year, I said, why don't you guys go down
They
there
parked my cars and make more
and
money.
make more money?
But yes, Ken can order some off Amazon,
Okay.
some rigid signs. The ones in tires that you're talking about, is
Yeah.
what we used them.
And they worked
No,
nice.
they didn't. That's the ones he's talking about.
They didn't
It's a
bend or
piece of
anything.
paper and a plastic protector.
Yes.
It's a page protector.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even worth 2 cents, so don't do that. So, yeah. You need a real sign.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
These were,
No, he's
Greg.
talking, Greg's talking about the ones that I made.
yeah,
We're talking about a different
the
thing.
humans that we got, they're a lot better. Great. Thank you for putting that sign on the cannon. Once you put that sign up, I didn't have any problem with kids crawling out there.
God, the
I didn't
stress,
have to go out
the
and run them
stress,
off.
his stress level went.
Thank you, Ricky. BMUC.
Okay, BNUC last met on May the 21st. We had a guest presentation by Borderline Waterworks. The BNUC sat through a presentation, it's a new type of water meter. The BNUC has agreed to allow Borderline to come in and prepare a study at no cost to the town, with more details to come. On their old business, Schaefer Park well. The old well has been decommissioned, it's filled with grout. We are still waiting on transponder part. The reservoir update, new transmission line is run through Boonesborough Mountain Road is complete. The pressure test is complete. They only have one repair to correct. Next step is to start connecting the current customers to the new line. The current pumps, we feel there could be a possible problem. We're not sure if the current pumps can fill the reservoir. And the next step is to do a pressure test on the current pumps. On the Crestview water pressure reduction bypass, WRA's plans are 90% complete. Cost estimate, a low end is 1.7 million, high price is 2.13 million. WRA and MPE are reviewing the plans currently, but we do have approval from the Crestview, HOA, to do the work that we need to do through their development. And the $1 million EPA grant money has been, is nearing approval. Ray's been working on that. The internal water audit, there is no update currently on that. Bulk purchase of water meters for developments. There was discussion during BMUC that as these developments start to come online, Craig's going to need to order meters and have them in place. And we decided that we wanted to have a cost so that the BMUC would know how much it's going to cost for Greg to buy a meter and how much time it's going to cost for the labor. And the labor and cost of the meter is going to be $434 per meter to the developers as they start to come on board. Hydraulic model fees, we rediscussed that as we talked about earlier. The $1,500 EDU fee was discussed again. VMUC said there was no revisions they wanted to make. That simply just needs to be put in place. The The BMUC did approve the update to the model system, the software update that we have to pay, which is $8,000. Under new business, Pete talked about a new opportunity to save money at the sewer plant with drying beds. Pete said he's looking into a possible use of drying beds to take our solid waste from 15% up to 60%, which will save us even more money on hauling costs, which currently we're not even hauling because we have that other big drying area. But Pete's just looking at to save money. Drought monitoring was brought up just because of the situation that we were in previous to all the rain that we got recently. We just agreed that we would keep the commission updated on drought conditions, but as you all know, if you got the wonderful Hagerstown paper, the drought conditions have been upgraded to good. Alternate 40 debt service, there was a resident that had questioned any new connections on the alternate 40 line, that to be sure that they are in fact collecting debt service, which there were a couple of connections out that way, and yes, we are applying the debt service fee to them. Rachel brought up any charter amendments the BMUC felt they might want to do at this time, because there were other commissions that were doing updates, and we could just get them all done at one time, but the BMUC felt that they didn't need to make any changes currently. BMUC interviewed a new member, possible. His name is Vern Walker, and after the interview process, the BMUC voted unanimously to appoint Vern, V-E-R-N Walker, W-A-C-H-T-E-R, as a new member of the BMUC, so I'll get to that in a second. Our next meeting is June the 18th at 6 p.m. It'll be right here. And I just want to remind everybody that both Colin and Bobby will no longer be serving on the BMUC. Colin stepped down, and Bobby Mose feels that he's probably given enough years. So with those two stepping down, I just want to mention that we should recognize both of them for their years of service. So that's something that we can do and bring them back maybe at next month's meeting.
Yeah, I can do that for.
And then if the mayor would make an appointment for Vern Walker, we could get him put on the BMUC commission. And Kim, I'm thinking he's going to be a new 4-year member. I'm sure I'm not going to try to figure out where, I think Bobby's done at the end of this term.
Yes.
And it'll be a new term anyway, and the same with Collins. So it's just going to be a 4-year term.
Yeah, that's usually easiest.
I'd like to have a motion to appoint Vern Walker to the Utilities Commission for a 4-year term.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Planning Commission, Eric?
Mr. Mayor, could we back up a minute? I had some questions for Tony.
Oh.
Sorry, I thought, I was not able to know that meeting. So with Colin stepping down, is the assistant running the meetings from now on, or what y'all discussed?
They decided to have Lauren fill in, Lauren being the assistant chair, fill in as the interim until June, when they would actually vote.
Right. All right, that's good. And under the new park well, so the old one that you filled on the concrete decommission, is the new one now fully online, tested, ready to go?
Yeah, that's been.
I was gonna say, that's Greg can answer that too.
Yeah, it's running.
Yeah,
It's up, running, fenced in.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was good. The debt service rate.
Huh?
Alternate.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be redone.
What was that?
The fence
The
around the
fence,
well
it's
is
still,
gonna be redone.
it's gonna be redone.
Oh, yeah. I already went to my next topic. The debt service out here on alternate 40, did we ever figure out how many years we have left on that?
Yes,
Oh, it's like
I don't have it. in
8
front of
or-
me. It was based off of the date that they were connected. It's not the same date for everybody, but that has a log of the date everyone was connected.
Also, it was run by William.
Yes, so it's not the exact same date for everyone,
Because I was gonna ask.
because they had a year to connect. I have it written down somewhere else.
Okay, now, my report, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's my early 9 o'clock. We did meet on May the 27th for Planning and Zoning Commission. First, Drew gave a very nice recap of the Verdant presentation that was made in early May about the new proposed housing development in Behind Ray, which basically involves the Lake and TT&K and Flip properties.
That you mean,
What's that?
that one?
Yes, that's the big one. He gave a very nice recap of that, and the proposal is 1,935 homes across all the properties. And one of the planning commission members asked, well, how's that gonna work when we're only going to allow 40 houses per year? And I very quickly reminded him that that's only been discussed. Nothing's ever been passed. So there's nothing official about that. At initial meetings, I don't have the date, I think it was like May the 8th, the gentleman was actually setting it a little earlier. So he's going to have two town meetings and discuss this proposal out here at Legion. The first date is July 15th.
While you guys were chatting and he was sitting there, he told me those dates are changing. So don't even bother.
Well, then, heck with those dates. He's going to have at least two presentations at some point. We're going to be discussing this to all the town.
They will be in the American.
Yeah. So I would encourage certainly all of us to go. And his initial presentation, we did want, I guess, the full mayor council there, had to be advertised as a public meeting, right? So there were some of us there, but frankly, I thought it was poorly attended by the BMUC and the Planning and Zoning Commission. 2 people from Planning and Zoning and 1 from the BMUC. I think something this important, they all need to hear it. But anyway, that's enough on that. Fletcher's Grove out here. They're coming in shortly with some plans for Dean North. Okay, not Dean South, but Dean North. Dean South, as I recall off the top of my head, is 56 houses, 18 of which are 55 and older. Dean North expects to come in with 53 units, maybe 1 or 2 fewer because they're talking about an additional roadway out there somehow. So 53 units. Coincidentally, Kim asked me the other day, the post office wants to know how many houses are being built out there, because honestly, I hadn't thought about this before. We always talk about police, emergency services, public works, all of that, the impact on them, but I never thought about the other service providers.
We don't pay for those services.
We don't. I was gonna say.
But good answer.
But it was just interesting that they noticed that and they asked him. So it's 53 units out there is what the proposal is, and I'll throw out my usual discussion point. Right now, we have about 80 some taps left on the system, going by currently how we're tracking the numbers. So here's another 53, which are not reserved. Dean South is reserved, not Dean North.
That's correct.
So we're getting damn close to a serious discussion about how much water we have. In fact, I asked this gentleman over here in the meeting, that was one of my questions. I said, what about the water? And Rachel and I kind of heard 2 different things. I heard him say, we will bring the water ourselves. Well, I want to ask him more about that. Does our MDE permit get increased? How's that happen? So anyway, enough on that. We've already talked about McElwee situation, Chase 6 and all that. The comprehensive plan, it's about 75% completed. There's a special meeting that has been set up for July for the contractor to come in and meet with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they're to come with comments and that sort of thing. Okay, that assignment. And finally, the Planning Commission bylaws, which Rachel kind of dipped into a little bit, all the commissions. April 4, 2001 is the last time that's been updated. It's way out of date, so those would be being reviewed and updated as well. What did I miss, Rachel? Tony has a hand up.
I just have a question.
Say who?
Dean, bless you.
Last year,
Dean North, any age restricted?
Did not hear anything
No.
like that.
No, just,
Just,
that's gonna be up there by the power lines.
it's gonna be on the north side.
that's why. Why they call it.
That's where we're at.
Yes, thank you, sir. Any questions of Eric? Ray, EDC.
Did not meet recently, next meeting is on the 25th.
Okay,
Good job.
Terry, environmental.
First of all, Janine wanted to thank everyone about helping with Green Fest. She said 524 cars went through. She specifically said Public Works was excellent. The office staff, to thank them, thank Rachel, anybody who helped out. The police, she said Dave was extremely helpful, more than ever.
Oh.
Yeah. We have bulk trash pickup on
James and
October
Billy.
the 11th from 8 to 12. Let's see what else. We got a report about the charging units that she said that, in February, March, and April, there's 20% of the days were utilized down at the park, but the same time period, 66% was utilized here behind Town Hall.
Yeah, they use this one a lot.
Yeah, right.
This one I agree with. That one.
Travis uses it to send homes to things.
I've never seen a car down there.
Oh, I got a picture of the
Wrong
car.
time.
Once in a blue moon, it's that they're not down there very much.
Let's see, I'm to ask Greg about lines on Della. There used to be lines, I think, marked for pedestrians or something, maybe.
Yeah.
She said, this was Barb Wetzel, she said that I asked you about putting lines back, and Orchard doesn't have any lines at all or something on the sides.
Orchard never did have that.
Nah.
Just about the bike lane you went
Yeah,
from your
bike
house.
lane, yeah. Bike lane and really the center lane, pretty well shot too.
So if you can just check those streets for me.
We're getting ready to have Chase 6 combined, so I will get you a price.
Okay. That's about it. We need Wednesday. Or we did that already.
I thought we needed to mention it. I just wrote we were going to mention it.
But we already approved it,
Yes.
right?
Yes. But we didn't go to
It
special
was
meeting.
for Jen Sherwood and Chris Adkins are our new members. So we're up to 9 now, right?
So now the environmental commission is here.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions of Terry?
Sir, I do not have any questions, Terry, but I forgot one thing on my report. Very quickly, very quickly. The guy beside me about a few days back. Now, and remember, there's 10 acres in there. So he's talking about single-family homes. So we've gone from age-restricted cottages to 73-story townhomes, back to age-restricted cottages. Now we're at single-family homes.
Does he know what he wants to say?
So we don't know what's gonna happen in there, but you can bet I will be paying attention.
Thank you very much.
Anything else come before the council? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.